Hi Scorpio, welcome to your mid-February 2022 general tarot reading. It's Raina here. I just realized I did the laundry today and I was going to do this thing because it still has those creases in it. I was hoping I'd get rid of them by putting it in the wash, but I guess I'll have to wait on that. Got that Nine of Pentacles for another sign in the exact same position. I wish I could remember what sign it was. Okay. The heart of the matter is the Knight of Swords. I've gotten this, I think, more than once for other signs. The Knight of Swords, to me, especially nowadays, is kind of being a lot more outspoken about something. With Scorpio, a lot of times, it's not so much that you're kind of a weenie and you're afraid to, what's that saying? Not bare your soul, but something your mind, speak your mind. It's not that you're afraid to do that. It's because you're secretive. And that's a big difference. It's like almost like a ninth dimensional chess where you are deciding what you want to reveal to other people because, there's always lurking in the background. Okay, are they going to use this against me? Or, that feeling of it's none of their business, or just that. I think there's just an instinctual part of Scorpio to be retentive. When we say that term, anal retentive, there's also that to keep things to yourself, and therefore other people are left guessing, and it makes you feel like you're not an open book and you can't be exploited that way. But you may for some reason be more of an open book and more forthright about what you're thinking on a particular subject. This can also be a person you're dealing with. By the way, I just want to say that swords relate to the air signs. So we're talking about Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And I was thinking about Aquarius because of the timing of this reading, and it's Aquarius season. And so many of these energies are in Aquarius and even going into March. So that for your particular chart, that's the fourth house of home and family. So maybe there are some matters with that. Knight of Swords can actually be a lawyer. But the reason I wanted to mention about swords is that in this deck, I was pointing this out in another reading, they have these birds that are like black. And, what are black birds? Like vultures and crows and all that kind of thing. And they represent the dark side of things. So it would be kind of negative thoughts, negative communication sometimes, or very aggressive communication. And sometimes that's absolutely necessary, but it may produce conflict. And swords can be about conflict. And so that can be something that's not so pleasant for you that you have to navigate. In the past position, we have the Five of Wands. And in this deck, there's almost like this sense of a positive vibe where it's not so much teamwork, but that people are expressing their fire. And that relates with Wands. This is a career card. It can relate to their talent and to their individuality. And the other sometimes, the one of the common interpretations of this card is conflict and competition, competitive situation. The truth is that all competition is not negative. Sometimes competition can get you to become, your best self, because you have to bring your A game to a situation. So if you're working with a lot of talented people, it's not like mediocrity. It's very stimulating, and it might be intimidating, in some regard, but it still is helping you to grow, because the fire or the wands aspect is all about expansion. And with this particular situation, well, the knight I think is connected to fire too, and this may be when I look at these cards, I think that it might be something that is more challenging, because with the Knight of Swords, you may feel like, I have to say something about this. Like if you are in some kind of situation at work and this is usually the boss doing this, they create, it's almost like recreating a sibling rivalry that you had to endure in childhood, and the adult version of it, and kind of sometimes that triggers old wounds where you feel like you always were being evaluated and pitted up against somebody else, and that's such a terrible feeling if you've ever experienced that. So I can understand why it would be like speaking your truth about this in some way. The higher message is the Emperor, and one of the things about the Emperor, this card can relate to the father and the authority figure. So if you had a parent, and this is depicted as a male, we have the Empress, so this is the male version of it. So if we want to just specify it as a father, but of course some people, their authority figure will be the mother. But in any case, I'll just refer to it as he. If the father was somebody who kind of stoked sibling rivalry, or who was very critical of you, you may have a resentment of those authority figures as well. And the higher message card is saying that there's something about these situations that you kind of sign up for in a way. And I was also going to say that this could be something with impersonal relationships, because the Knight of Swords person can be kind of like someone who doesn't stick around, who kind of is in your life, out of your life, and you may feel like you're competing for this person's affections. And if you had a father who was very, maybe didn't give you that kind of acceptance, you may pick men who are doing the same thing all over again. The Emperor is a very kind of an authoritarian person and a very black and white person. So it's hard sometimes to explain to these people exactly how they are affecting you adversely, because they don't think they're doing anything wrong. They see it their way, and it's hard for them to put themselves in other people's shoes, maybe. What crosses you is the Page of Wands, and this is, you can see that this, it's interesting. It almost looks like she's got like that magician's, whatever they call that stick. But there's an exhilaration, and again, wands, fire. This is like something that's a new beginning. Some kind of a message of good news. Maybe this is delayed. Maybe this is something that you've been waiting for. and almost like a release. You feel like you need to hear this message in order for you to be released from something. I don't know how else to phrase it. And that's an illusion, because you can do things at any time, but perhaps it isn't, perhaps things are not aligned in this middle portion of February. What's coming in as a hermit, you may choose to spend time in solitude, contemplating whatever your situation is. If you're choosing between two people, maybe one is a swords and one is fire. But both of them can be quite elusive. They, fire and air are not the elements that water is most compatible with in terms of, the overall thing, not individually, obviously. But you may feel like you have to chase down these types of people. However, you may be attracted to them. A Scorpio sun sign can have the moon in air or fire, and certainly with your Venus and Mars and those kinds of inner planets, they could be in Sag or they can be in Libra, and that wouldn't make you more interested in those signs. And if your rising sign is air or fire, other people may see you as that sign, as a fire sign or an air sign, and they may be the ones that are always, hitting on you because you're coming across in that way. The Hermit card is connected to Virgo, so maybe there's a Virgo person who is helpful to you at this time. Maybe they can break down what it is the situation is all about. And you may be looking at the bigger picture. Maybe you're, asking yourself, what is this situation trying to tell me? The outcome is the Nine of Pentacles, and this is financial independence. So, yeah, the Page of Wands, if you have been wanting to start a business, then it may be something that the timing has to be right, but that is the end game, or that is the goal. And maybe it's not so much that you would want to just do that exclusively, but you don't want to put all your eggs into one basket so that you're dependent on a situation that may be very stressful, that may feel like you can't be an individual. You can only compete and have somebody who is in this kind of like a role of constant evaluation, and that's not, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh yeah, but that's what a boss, that's their job or something like that, but that's not really true, because if somebody really thinks that you're doing a good job, they're not having to judge you all the time. And you don't have to prove your worth, So that's just, what I meant by that. And I think that the green background is that abundance, that, the financial, it's financial freedom, but it's also a good money card. So in any case, that's what I have for you. And maybe if you have been involved with air signs and fire signs, I had to pause the recording, so I lost my train of thought. What I meant was, I'm not saying that you can't be with those signs, but being a water sign, you tend to be very into that domestic scene. And these kinds of people, you may feel like you have to chase them down, and they might have a harder time committing, and maybe there's earth energy around you, somebody that is interested on the same page with you when it comes to that. So that's all I meant. Okay, Scorpio, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you'd like a private reading, I do a lot of astrology readings. Of course, I also do the tarot. You can find out more about my services at the link below. Take care.